I would like to start this talk with one animal that appears harmless: cows. Here in India, they are considered sacred animal. When you actually Google the word cows, you get the following result. It's actually very interesting because here in India, we have around 300 million cows, which is a third of the whole world. Being an Indian, these cows are no rare sights on streets. But these harmless cows can cause mayhem when it comes to the environment. And our current strategy towards it is not sustainable, it's just bizarre. But can you imagine that these cows are greater threats to the environment than cars? As a matter of fact, animal agriculture is the greatest threat to the future of humanity. Animal agriculture is responsible for as much greenhouse gas emissions as every form of power transport combined. It is by far the biggest user of water than any industry on the planet, and by far the biggest polluter of any water than any industry on the planet. And there's an even bigger problem: 45% of the earth's entire land area, yes, 45%, is actively being exploited by animal agriculture. To put that footprint into perspective, all the cities in the whole world, or with all of its architecture combined, take up around 1% of the earth's whole land area. All the grains, fruits, vegetables that are directly consumed by human being and essentially contain all the essential nutrients that human body needs take up only 7% of the whole world's land area. The soya bean crop, which has 50 times more protein than any human being will need, and essentially all amino acid, takes less than 1% of the earth's whole land area. That land footprint underlies probably even a greater threat to the future of and that land footprint basically underlies probably even a greater threat to the future of planet and to the future generations than climate change. For an rapidly regressing catastrophic collapse in the global biodiversity in the past 50 years, almost entirely through the use of animals as food production technology, we have wiped out more than two-thirds of the wild animal populations that previously lived on Earth. Right now, we have 1.5 billion cows being raised just to produce the world's supply of meat and milk. And those foods add up only to 12% of the human being's nutritional supply. Those cows overweigh every remaining wild terrestrial vertebrate, every mammal, every bird, every reptile, and every amphibian combined more than a factor of 10. And that's an environmental catastrophe. Biodiversity is what keeps the ecosystems healthy, and that keeps our planet viable. But this land footprint is just getting bigger because the demand for meat is not getting smaller, it's growing. And when you see smoke coming out from the Amazon rainforest, and it's your second and when you see smoke coming out of the Amazon, that's because that and when you see smoke coming out from the Amazon, that's second hand smoke from your meat, because 95% of Amazon deforestations happen due to land expansions for animal pasture. And Amazon used to produce 20% of the whole world's oxygen, and we have slowly burnt out 20% of that just to make space for these animals. Most people think When most people think of animals in the food chain, they think it's just an animal. But a cow is an incredibly inefficient prehistoric technology for turning plants into food. Now let's have a look at the numbers. Rearing livestock takes up to 46% of the whole world's land area and 33%, a third of the whole crops of the world, to feed the animals that later end up being slaughtered. It pollutes each year more compared to it pollutes more each year compared to all forms of power transport combined. And when you have a look at the land footprint, it's the sum of the areas of the three continents of South America, North America, and Africa. And also, when you have a look at the numbers, humanity has enough crops to feed 10 billion people, or 1.5 times the whole population. But a third of it goes just to feed these animals. This industry uses more water than any industry on the planet and pollutes most water than any industry on the planet. To put it to scale, to end up with 24 hamburger patties, you require the amount of water in a swimming pool. And that same amount of water can be used to produce 75 loaves of whole grain bread and 30 jars of peanut butter. And if I make a peanut butter sandwich and eat them regularly at intervals, like 2 times a day, the burgers end up just lasting you over a week, but the sandwiches over a year. And the best part is that both of them have the exact same amount of calories and proteins. One just lasted me a year longer because it is a more effective method of energy transmission from the sun to the human beings. Imagine we could cure world hunger if we just ate what we fed the animals. And here is why that fact matters from a socioeconomic perspective. Particularly as people get richer, they tend to eat more meat, and if we do not do anything, this will grow over time. Given the resources used, this trajectory is just unsustainable. And when you have a look at the past, using art and posters, meat was a luxury 2 decades ago, but now it's commodity. And it's so bad that farmers have burnt 20% of the Amazon just to make space for these animals. And that's a double punch to their gut, because not only more cow pollution is going into the air, but the carbon stored in the trees is also up in the atmosphere. And that's a triple punch for these farmers, because in the tropics they will face harsher climates, and in the end will be unable to grow crops and raise these animals. And for someone who has asthma, that is not what you want to hear. And without innovation, it will require a very dramatic set of sacrifices, like don't drive to work, don't take trips, cut down on the meat that every single person in this planet takes and needs to take care of it. So, what could be a sustainable way to switch? There is plant-based meat. But every seasoned meat eater will imagine this when I ask them about a plant-based diet. And I have tried out leaves; they don't taste, and they taste awful. So and always these questions come to the meat eater's mind. Does it taste good? Is it good for me? And is it good for the environment? Whenever they are told about a plant-based diet. And as a firm believer in experimentation, to answer the first question, I gathered a group of 11 seasoned meat eaters from all walks of life. And here they were given two chicken nuggets. One was ordered from McDonald's, and one was a plant-based one that I prepared at home. And with no details about the ingredients known, here are the results. None of them were able to figure out None of them were able to figure out the difference based on taste. But 18% of them were able to figure out the difference with touch or feel. Not because the technology was flawed, because I am a terrible cook. And after we answered this question, and also, as a matter of fact, these ones are better than the original meats. So what makes them better? So what makes them better? So now let's segue into the second question to get its answers. According to Impossible Foods, their scientists are not only working on the taste of plant-based meat, they have teams working on the texture, the color, the smell, the frying sound, and even the amount of calories and fat uh, in the meat burger. And it's made out of a very simple recipe. These are the ingredients. These for the colors, these for the fats, a potato for carbohydrates, and these for the protein, out of which most of it comes from yellow peas. This meat is good for you because it has zero to around no cholesterol, and it provides a no compromises alternative for all meat eaters to make this switch. And next, we segue into the second question: is it good for me? So for the last decades, meat is cleverly being marketed as needed by a real man or what a real man eats. But the truth is, hardcore meat eaters even get more protein from whole grains like rice, corn, oats, nuts, and walnuts than meat. So, this meat has virtually no cholesterol. It provides a no compromises alternative for all meat eaters to make this switch. And next, we segue into the next question: is it good for me? So, for the last decades, meat is being cleverly marketed as what a real man needs, what a real man eats. But when you have a look at the numbers, even hardcore meat eaters get half their protein from eating things like beans, peas, nuts, whole grains, corn, rice, and oats. Even high performance athletes are switching to plant based diets. So, if a plant based diet is good for Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kyrie Irving, Lewis Hamilton, Nate Diaz, Serena, and Venus Williams, it's probably good enough for us. And the studies show it too. Overall, the vast majority of studies included in this systematic review reported a short term beneficial effect of plant based dietary interventions on weight status, glucose, insulin, plasma lipids, and inflammatory markers, whereas studies investigating where plant-based diets affect the microbiota in your stomach also proved successful. Also, around 73% and 59% lower odds were measured respectively of moderate to severe COVID-19, and proved that plant-based diets may help lower the odds of developing moderate to severe COVID-19 infection. Now, let's have a look at the environmental perspective. If everybody switched to plant-based meat, we would have 33% more food, 50% more land area, and 15% less pollution in just 5 years. So don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. And if it doesn't, and you don't have to be in both extreme sides, a hardcore meat eater or a pure vegan dieter. Moderation here is key. So go meatless for the first half of the week or have meatless Mondays. And that would help the environment more than anything. Thank you.